Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how to make compost for your garden. It's very simple, a very simple process. And I use 3 or 4 main ingredients. You can use simply two. It can be grass shavings, or grass shavings is your nitrogen, or anything green. It could be the kitchen scraps from your kitchen, which I also use. I'm gonna see if I can tilt down into this trash can. Can you see? I don't know. Can you see that? All right there. Those are some of the nitrogen sources that I'm going to use. And then you can also use wood shavings, which is that right there. I hope you can get that, a good shot of that. And then just simply some brown leaves and here, like that. Or you can even go so far as to use paper shredders from your paper shredder. And so there's already been broken down. So that's going to help with the decomposing process. I've got one other source of things I want to show you. I'll just hold up the bag. And I'm just going to show you. Everybody recognize that? Inside here we have some coffee grounds. And I add that also because your acid-loving plants like blueberries, all my juniper bushes, evergreens, roses, azalea bushes, some rhododendrons, those type of things like acid. So coffee grounds is a good source for that, to lower the pH in the soil. And I have one other thing that came off the property. And see, all this is free. This is going to help build your soil. I'm trying to get it loose. This here is just a piece of what they call brindle bush. And how we use that is, I'm going to use that between the layers, which I'm going to talk about the ratio and proportions of your brown to green or carbon to nitrogen source in a minute. But I'm going to be using that to create the air gaps that's going to be needed to help get the compost process underway, because air is a component that you need. And one last ingredient that you need to really make this function is water. You want to saturate your soil, but you don't want to oversaturate it. You want it to be like the consistency of a sponge, of a sponge, but not soggy. And that will help with the decomposing process of making good quality compost for your garden. Now, I got another compost bin, which I started last year. And I'm going to turn the camera this way, see if you can see it. Up and down. And I started that last year in this pallet. And that's a simple way to do it. You don't have to do it this way. If you don't have access to pallets, you can do it like I just showed you how I'm going to try it for year 2 with the chicken wire, because I want it to be 4 feet high. I want more height this year, because as it breaks down, it'll be about almost half by the time it's finished. And then I can open it up. And I can take the chicken wire away as it starts to break down and maybe add to it. Okay, and that's another way to increase your yield. Okay, so now the ratio, we're going to talk about that. You're going to need a 5-gallon bucket, or it could be a 2-gallon bucket. It could be anything with the precise measurement. Whatever the size of the container, the ratio will be 2 to 1. So it'll be 2 brown, or which would be leaves, wood chips, wood shavings, paper shreddings, brindle bush, and a little bit of coffee grounds if you want to add that, to 1 bucket of your nitrogen source, which is your grass clippings, your kitchen scraps, and things like that from the house. You can add anything to the compost pile except for bones, chicken or meat sources, and any oils. Try not to have too many oils. You can use eggshells as part of your brown source. Anything from the household would help that. So I'm gonna turn off this video. And one other question. I think someone asked me, how long does it take for it to break down? Well, that depends on you, and that depends on how hard you want to work and how much labor you want to put into it. Me, I do it the lazy way because the greenhouse is not ready yet. I already have dirt with amendments added to it, so I've got a good start for when I start my planting. But this is just another way to add an extra source of fungal matter, microbial matter, which is important in a dry climate. Because here, when you water in the West, it's mostly desert, the roots are only going to take up so much nutrients, and the rest of the water that you use is just going to go into the water table. It's just going to go straight down into the earth, into this rocky clay soil. So to help with that, you use compost because it helps to retain moisture as well as give the nutrients and allow them, the roots, an opportunity to uptake any other amendments or fertilizers you might use to your crops. So that's why compost is a very good thing to have, especially in a dry environment. Okay, because you want more fungal matter in your soil, which you don't have in a desert climate. So compost helps to add back to the soil those things that are not there that the plants need to thrive as well as survive. Okay, so back to the question. It could take as long as 2 weeks, as short as 2 weeks, if you're turning it often. And how do you determine when to turn it? Well, back east, I had a compost tumbler. But the problem with that is you don't get the surface area. You don't get the volume. So I turned it every day to create the air. But out here, because it's not off the ground, you just put the brindles like I did. Get yourself a thermometer because that'll help you with the data, because that's important to get a reading for the temperature. You want to keep your compost temperature anywhere between 70 degrees to 110 degrees. So that will help to determine when you should turn your compost. And you know it's going when the temperature reaches 70. And it'll take about 3 days or 4 days after you put your compost pile together, okay, for it to reach that temperature. So a thermometer is an optional thing you can have or to get. It's not necessary, but it will be helpful to help you determine how often to turn your pile. And that'll help break it down even sooner. The more you turn it and keep it moist, keep it out of the direct sun as much as possible, will help to get your compost processed a little more quickly. Now, I have an additional grandma secret that I got from my grandmother that I also add to it. But I'm not going to share that in this video. Maybe later at some other point, I'll just give you the formula and you can do it yourself with just regular old household things to help speed it up. And you'll be surprised when I share that with you. So leave me a comment, and if you're interested in knowing what that is, put a comment below and I'll get back to you, and based on the number of comments I get, I'll make a decision about whether or not to share that with you or not. And you can grow anything in any kind of soil if you know how to change the pH and you know how to get things thriving using these simple household tricks that my grandmother taught me in North Carolina. All right, thanks guys again for tuning in to this video. I hope it was helpful. Like it, share it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like what you see, Leave me a comment if you have any questions. It'll take me a minute or a while to get back to you because we are off grid out here. And I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But remember to give thanks for all your blessings to the Most High. Take care for the next video, and until I see you again. Shalom.